Parenthood is one of the strongest emotional bonds we can form. What would you do to experience that bond? Would you rob? Would you steal? Would you kill? For Lisa Montgomery, so desperate for a child, she was prepared to rip a baby from a pregnant woman's womb. This is the story of Bobbie Jo Stinnett. Welcome to Enter the Dark. Hello and welcome to Enter the Dark. I am Jan from Film Daddy. With me as always is Les from Tales from the Hangman. How's it going, Les?
All good, yeah, it's going well here.
Good. Right, guys, thank you for everyone who's watched the last video on Junko Furuta there. I thought that one would be popular with you lot, and it is, which just means my theory of you're all sick fucks was right, but we are too. So yeah. we did it, but
we can be sick fucks together.
We can indeed. Also, a big hello to our, I think, 80-odd new subscribers who came from the Junko Furuta video. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the family. Come on in. Make yourself at home. Drink this Kool-Aid. So tonight we're going to be talking about quite a disturbing one. It's disturbing in the fact that when I first heard about it, I was like, what the fuck? But this is about the murder of Bobbie Jo Stinnett. You know nothing about this, do you, Les?
No, I'm completely oblivious to this one.
If you have got any sort of triggers about pregnancy and essentially a baby being cut from the womb and stolen, this isn't the video for you. Let's go on. So it starts with Lisa Montgomery. Now, Lisa Montgomery had a long list of lies to her name before the thought of murder entered her mind. When she was a teenager in 1986, she married Carl Bowman, with whom she had 4 children in 4 years. Now, Montgomery saw pregnancy as the ultimate way to get attention, and she loved that attention. However, when her last child was delivered very prematurely, doctors advised her to have a tubal ligation, which is having your tubes tied so you can't have babies, which she did have. They didn't believe she would be able to carry another baby to term, so that is why they suggested that she would have to have it. Now, according to Carl Bowman, Montgomery cheated several times during their 14-year relationship, and they had to move from Oklahoma to New Mexico and then on to Kansas because of the problems she created through lying. In court, Bowman described Montgomery as being a chronic, selfish liar with low self-esteem. He said she was critical of others but never outwardly violent. In the 1990s, despite having the tubal ligation, Montgomery faked 2 pregnancies. She was briefly divorced from Bowman in 1993, but they married again the following year.
Why?
You know, I can change.
They don't know, do they?
They don't know, but, you know, they've been together since they were teenagers, haven't they?
Also, how did she, put that one over? I'm pregnant again. That's not possible, is it? Yeah, but I'm pregnant again.
Yeah, but was she faking it to other people? So people were like, oh, you're glowing and stuff like that. But in 1998, she filed for divorce and took their 4 children and repartnered with a shy electrician by the name of Kevin Montgomery, a father of 3 who was living in Kansas. In 2000, they married and lived in a blended family with Kevin's parents, the newlyweds, and their 7 teenagers. God, that sounds like hell.
Doesn't it just?
I've got one teenager in the house, and that's bullshit. The amount of bullshit that comes out of that mouth. But living with the parents and 7 teenagers?
I mean, Jesus Christ, I live on my own and I still manage to fall out with my kettle. You know what I mean?
He literally does fall out with his kettle. That's not a lie.
Also, my Hoover set on fire today. That was a thing that happened. So, like, I just can't live with people appliances, apparently.
I do like how you told me over Messenger that your Hoover is set on fire. You're like, yeah, the circuit board, it's on fire. I've poured water over it. And I was just thinking, please say you unplug the fucking thing first.
I definitely unplugged it. I checked after.
Anyway, enough of your cursed appliances. Let's get back to this. So, from the outside, Montgomery seemed like an enigma. She appeared to be a loving wife who lived for her children and would talk about how proud she was of them to anyone who would listen. But her neighbours were concerned that the children were neglected, wearing dirty rags and being left to fend for themselves. Not long into her relationship with Kevin, Montgomery faked another pregnancy only to miscarry, quotation marks, close to her due date. Although Kevin was aware Montgomery had undergone tubal ligation, he wasn't sure what the term meant and didn't realise it would stop her from being able to have children. He's not the brightest spot, is he? Can you imagine, can't you? Like, I've had tubal ligation. I've just had a root beer. What the
Yeah, that makes no... I mean, can you get pregnant? Or is it like a zero chance?
I think it's a 0 chance. It's like...
Because like when a guy has a vasectomy...
Your fallopian tubes have been tied. It won't work.
Because sometimes it happens when somebody's had a vasectomy, doesn't it?
Well, I've had a vasectomy, and they did say there's like a 1 in 10,000 chance that they can connect again. But that's why when you've had a vasectomy, they tell you to ejaculate 12 times before you send a sample off in the post, which was the weirdest thing ever, me sending a big tub of cum through the post. It wouldn't fit in the letterbox, so I had to take it into the post office. But yeah, because there's still swimmers in there, that's why you have to masturbate a few times. Or you could have sex in it with a condom.
And everybody's mind just touched the void.
But no, the pot was pretty big, and it didn't fit in the post box, so I had to go into the post office and say, can you send this, please?
Did they ask you, like...
They were like, what's in it? And I was like, a specimen. But when that come back, right, you got a letter back, and you had to give 2 samples. And the first one come back, and the letter just said, so far so good.
What does that even mean?
It means there was no sperm in my semen. Anyway, enough about my cum. So yeah, Kevin isn't very clever. He doesn't... She's told him he has a tubal ligation, and he hasn't said what it is. I mean, if somebody said to you, I've had tubal ligation, you'd be like, oh, what's that mean? Wouldn't you? Like, if I come up to you and I've had, when I said to you, I've had a caudal epidural, and you were like, what the fuck's that? And I told you.
Yeah.
You know, you ask, especially if you're married to her. Anyway, just a few months later, then, she once again fell pregnant, with quotation marks, this time with a December 2004 due date. And it was this lie that would lead her to murder Bobbie Jo Stinnett. Now, Bobbie Jo Stinnett, first of all, I love the redneck name.
Yeah.
Nothing against anyone who is called Bobbie Jo there. I love names like that, like Betty Sue and Bobbie Jo.
Like proper country.
Yeah.
Country name.
Yeah, I love names like that. I'm not making fun of you in any way. I really like those names.
We don't have them in the UK, do we, really?
You have like
Keith
and Frank and Ian.
Ian.
Anyway, Bobbie Jo Stinnett, she lived in the small town of Skidmore, Missouri. It was in the Nodaway County and had a population of just under 300. The 23-year-old had lived a happy life. She married her high school boyfriend Zeb in 2003.
That's a real redneck name.
That's a good name though, Zeb. Zeb Stinnett. So, where are you going? I'm going to hang out with Zeb. Do you think it was Zebediah or Zebedee?
I think it'd be Zebediah, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I hope it was Zebedee, though.
Zebedee.
His parents were fans of the Magic Roundabout.
I don't think any of our American listeners will know what the Magic Roundabout is, but it's essentially a lovely children's program about drugs.
It is. It's about LSD. You got a rabbit that's stoned all the time. Anyway, I'll splice a clip in now for you of about 10 seconds of it so you can see it.
Waiting for Brian. Oh, come on, lightning. Hello. There's no time for pleasantries, said Dougal. You're late. We've got a lot to do, and you're late. If you were in a union, I'd sack you. Now pull yourself together and concentrate on the working hand. Really, you're pathetic.
And we're back. Anyway, so Zeb and Bobbie, they bred rat terriers out of their home. So rat terriers are dogs.
Yeah.
Not terrier.
I figured that.
Not rats that terrorise people.
They've been interbred with terriers to make a super rat terrier.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Anyway, as part of her dog breeding business, Bobbie Jo regularly contributed to a forum with a group of fellow rat terrier breeders. The name of the forum was Ratter-Chatter.
Seriously?
And members discussed the ins and outs of breeding, showing and caring for the dogs. It's a good name, Ratter-Chatter.
Ratter-Chatter's a brilliant name.
It's about ratters, so you're chatting about ratters. So it's Ratter-Chatter.
These were for just so I'm clear on this.
This is the early days of the internet.
These dogs were predominantly for catching rats, yeah.
No, it's like Yorkshire Terriers now. They used to go down mines and catch rats. Mm-hmm. And Jack Russells that my mum and dad have got, that catch rats and stuff like that. They're called rat terriers. They probably can catch rats, but it's just a breed of dog.
That kill rats?
Well, most dogs do.
So they weren't breeding them for
No, they weren't breeding them and selling them for going out and killing rats. They were breeding them as show dogs. So.
Oh, right, okay. Okay, that's fine. Because there used to be that thing they did in Victorian times where they used to place bets on how many rats it'd take before they overcame the dog. It's like a type of dog fighting. That's horrible, isn't it? There you go.
I love when you contribute things like that. You bring a valued essence to the world.
They used to chuck sacks of rats in and they used to place bets.
I'd say 68 rats.
Yeah, they used to, again, they were sort of ratting sort of dogs. But it was I guess that was the sort of warm-up event before you watch two pit bulls rip each other apart. It was different times.
It still don't make it right.
No, it doesn't.
No. So, Bobbie Jo was known for her caring nature amongst the members of the group. As well as discussing their passion for rat terriers, they also shared details of their lives outside of dog breeding, as you would when you join any sort of community online. Bobbie Jo announced to the group that she was pregnant and was expecting her new arrival in January 2005. So, Lisa Montgomery, who had started participating in dog shows with her rat terrier, also announced her pregnancy on the site as well. Lisa posted that she had been pregnant with twins, but one had died in the womb, and she was due to give birth to the surviving baby in December. Fellow breeders were suspicious of Lisa's claims of her pregnancy after seeing photos of her at dog shows, as she never appeared to have gained any weight, despite her supposed due date getting closer and closer. Now, I did know a girl who, she knew she was pregnant, but she was hiding it from her mum and dad. And when she was 8 months pregnant, she only had a slight bump. So that could... Also, we know somebody who didn't even know they were pregnant.
Yeah.
And they went to hospital with stomach pains going, oh, good pain. They went, yeah, you're in labour. I'm not pregnant. You fucking are.
Jesus Christ, I hope she's not listening.
She won't be. No. She's not going to listen to us. Anyway, Bobbie Jo, however, had no reason to be distrusting of Lisa. The two exchanged messages about the ups and downs of pregnancy, baby names and supplies that they planned to buy. They even met in April 2004 at a dog show in Abilene, Kansas.
That's a nice name, isn't it?
Abilene. Oh, it's Abilene. I think it's Abilene. I think I said it wrong. Anyone from Kansas, please tell us. It is. Also, go Royals and Chiefs.
I don't know what that is. They footballs.
Kansas City Chiefs are the football team and Kansas City Royals are the baseball team. I got a friend from Kansas City.
Oh, fair dues.
Yeah.
Fair dues.
In late 2004, Jason Dawson received an email from a woman named Darlene Fisher. Now, Jason Dawson was a breeder of rat terriers and also a friend of Bobbie Jo, whom he'd gotten to know through the dog shows. He was also a member of Rat-a-Chatter, on which he had gotten to know Lisa Montgomery as well. Dawson had never met a Darlene Fisher before, but it wasn't uncommon for him to receive emails from strangers inquiring about adopting puppies. So Fisher asked Dawson if he knew of anyone in northern Missouri who had puppies up for adoption. She wanted to buy one for her kids for Christmas. She'd never do that. A dog is for life, not just for Christmas. Don't buy your kids a puppy for Christmas. It's a big undertaking. Dawson knew Bobbie Jo's dog had recently had a litter of puppies, and the puppies would be ready to go to new homes in time for Christmas. He gave Fisher Bobbie Jo's name and her website address, which was, I'm going to give it out now, www.happyhavenfarms.com. Fisher emailed Bobbie Jo and got in contact with her via the Rat-a-Chatter message board. Her username displayed on the forum was Fisher4Kids, and she told members of the group that she lived in Fairfax, Missouri, about a 25-minute drive from Skidmore. A message from Fisher to Bobbie Jo on December the 15th, 2004 read, I was recommended to you by Jason Dawson and have been unable to reach you by either phone or email. Please get in touch with me soon as we are considering the purchase of one of your puppies and would like to ask you a few questions. Bobbie Jo replied to Fisher later that evening. She wrote, Darlene, I've emailed you with the directions so we can meet. I do so hope that the email reaches you. Great chatting with you on the messenger, and do look forward to chatting with you tomorrow AM. Thanks. Talk to you soon, Darlene. Have a great evening. Bobbie. Zeb Stinnett went to work at Kawasaki Motors that day, leaving Bobbie Jo home alone with their dogs, waiting for the arrival of Darlene Fisher. Nothing felt out of the ordinary to Bobbie Jo. Fisher had come across as perfectly friendly when they talked on the forum the previous evening. At around 2:15 p.m, Bobbie Jo was talking on the phone with her mother, Becky Harper, telling her about the woman who was coming by to look at her puppies. When Bobbie Jo heard a knock on the door at around 2:30, she told her mother that her visitor had arrived and she had to go. This would be the last time that Harper would speak to her daughter. Bobbie Jo answered the door to a familiar woman. It was Lisa Montgomery. But before she could invite her inside, Montgomery barged in and overpowered the heavily pregnant Bobbie Jo. Lisa produced a cord, wrapped it around Bobbie Jo's neck and began strangling her from behind until she stopped struggling.
Christ.
Lisa then pushed Bobbie Jo onto her back and with a kitchen knife began cutting open her womb. Once the cut was large enough, she extracted the fetus. Wrapping the infant, which turned out to be a girl, up in a blanket, Lisa went back out to her car and drove away. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that is fucking harrowing. Imagine the panic going through that poor girl's head. She's stopped struggling, but she pushes her down. Maybe she's still alive. You don't know. And she fucking gets a kitchen knife and cuts open the womb. Fucking hell. At 3:30 p.m, Becky Harper came by to see her daughter. She entered the home, only to find a scene that could only be described as something out of a horror movie. Blood was everywhere. Bobbie Jo lay on the ground unconscious. In her fist, she clenched strands of long blonde hair. Harper ran to the phone and dialed 911. She explained to the operator that it looked as though her daughter's stomach had exploded.
Oh my God.
There was no sign of the infant anywhere. Jesus. Imagine walking in and seeing that. Fuck.
Oh.
Paramedics arrived almost immediately, but were unable to revive Bobbie Jo, and she was pronounced dead at 4:27 p.m. It was concluded that the infant was likely alive, given that he or she had been carried almost full term, but they would likely be small. The baby could be in distress after enduring such a violent birth. The investigation into who murdered Bobbie Jo and kidnapped her baby began immediately. Authorities knocked on doors, asking neighbours if they had seen anything suspicious in the afternoon. One resident said that they had seen a dirty old red car parked in the Stinnett's driveway sometime around 2:30 p.m. They had never seen that car before. Nottoway County Sheriff Ben Espy was determined that an Amber Alert be put out for the missing baby. It proved difficult at first to convince his colleagues of this, given that very little was known about the baby. Usually information on the most basic details like eyes and hair colour are required, which obviously they don't have because the baby was still in utero at the time. However, around 12:30 a.m. on December 17th, an alert was distributed. The next day, news of the murdered young mother whose baby had literally been pulled from her womb spread like wildfire. North Carolina rat terrier breeder Diane Sitcar saw the news that morning and recognised the young pregnant woman as a fellow breeder Bobbie Jo Stinnett from Missouri. Sitcar was shocked and saddened by the murder. She had come to think of Bobbie Jo as a friend, having many conversations with her on Ratter-Chatter. She logged onto the forum, of course. Bobbie Jo's tragic murder was on everybody's minds. Scrolling through the posts from the last couple of days, she looked for any clues on the message board as what might have happened to Bobbie Jo. She read the back and forth that had gone on between Bobbie Jo and Darlene Fisher on December the 15th, in which Bobbie Jo had told Fisher she had emailed her address and directions to her house. Fisher was meeting Bobbie Jo at her home on the 16th. Sitcar looked at Fisher's account name, Fisher4Kids. It struck her as creepy. She called the FBI and notified them of her discovery. FBI agents began going through Bobbie Jo's emails from December 15th. Sure enough, emails from Darlene Fisher were in her inbox. Their attempts to track down a woman with this name in Fairfax, Missouri were in vain. It appeared that Darlene Fisher never existed. The FBI employed computer forensic analysis to trace where the emails from Darlene Fisher had come from, and it led them to a modem hooked up to a telephone line at the home of Kevin Montgomery on South Adams Road in Malvern, Kansas. On December 17th, at the Whistle Stop Cafe in Malvern, Lisa and Kevin Montgomery showed off the newest addition to their family, a baby girl they named Abigail. Lisa told friends that she had been shopping the previous day in Topeka, Kansas, when she had gone into labour in the store. She was taken to the Birth and Women's Centre in Topeka, where she gave birth to the baby girl. Montgomery called her husband, telling him what had happened and that she needed to be picked up. Kevin and two of his teenage children got into his truck and drove to Topeka to pick up Lisa and the new baby. The couple's friends and family said that the baby was small, but otherwise looked healthy. They had no idea of the terrible ordeal that the baby had just endured. Meanwhile, FBI agents sat waiting on South Adams Road in Malvern outside Montgomery farmhouse, waiting for the arrival of an old red car. Eventually, a dirty red Toyota Corolla pulled up and a man and woman emerged, with the woman carrying a newborn baby. The agents approached the couple, asking if they were Kevin and Lisa Montgomery. They confirmed they were. Kevin and Lisa went inside, followed by the agents, who proceeded to ask them questions about the baby. Lisa told them the same story she'd told her friends, and it wasn't difficult for the agents to catch her out. On telling them that she had given birth at the Birth and Women's Centre in Topeka, the agents told her they had checked with the staff there and there was no record of her having given birth the previous day. Lisa Montgomery broke down, confessing to strangling the baby's mother and cutting her from the womb and kidnapping her. Kevin Montgomery was shocked at his wife's confession, believing that Lisa had really been pregnant. But you're going to be shocked by it, because you're literally sitting there thinking you've got a brand new daughter, and then your wife's telling the FBI agents, oh no, I've strangled this woman and cut this baby out of her womb.
Yeah.
I mean, what's he going through as well?
Yeah.
That's fucking...
Like he's there thinking he's a proud new father and,
Yeah, and then... But to be fair, he should have known what a tubal ligation was, or even asked, because she's told him she's had one. Lisa was arrested and charged with kidnapping leading to death. It was established that Kevin was not involved in the murder of Bobbie Jo Stinnett or the kidnapping of the baby, and no charges were brought against him. During her trial, Lisa Montgomery's years of lying in deceit became evident. Amongst those who were testified were her ex-husband Carl Bowman, Kevin Montgomery, Kevin Montgomery's ex-wife Lori Colwell, and Jason Dawson, who had originally referred Lisa to Bobbie Jo when she identified herself as Darlene Fisher. Bowman, who Lisa was in a custody battle over their 4 children with at the time of the murder, testified that his ex-wife could not have been pregnant because she had undergone tubal ligation in 1990 after the birth of their 4th child. Her doctor recommended the procedure due to his belief that Lisa would no longer be able to carry the pregnancy to term. They're telling the court all this, and he's like, yeah, she definitely can't be pregnant. I mean, is there any doubt that she could be? Because I don't think they were saying, well, is this her baby? She's already confessed to cutting it out of a dead woman's womb.
yeah.
But after that procedure, Lisa had faked 5 more pregnancies, and 2 while she was still married to Bowman. She mentioned that the day before Bobbie Jo's murder, Lisa had called him, telling him she was going to prove him wrong, in reference to him previously saying he would expose her lies about being pregnant and would use her deception against her during their upcoming custody hearing. Jesus Christ. So she's in her head. She's like, I'm going to prove you wrong now so I can keep the kids by giving birth, but literally murdering someone and stealing their baby. Bowman said to the press shortly after Lisa was arrested, she was never pregnant. Anything they're buying about a lost baby, a miscarriage, all of it is a lie. Kevin Montgomery testified that his wife had claimed to be pregnant 3 times since they had been married. Each time he believed her. The first 2 supposed pregnancies of their marriage had ended with Lisa telling Kevin that there was something wrong with the fetus and she had to get abortions. The 3rd time was different, however, and when he saw Lisa carrying an infant when collecting her in Topeka, he genuinely believed that it was their baby. Although one of Lisa's relatives told Kevin that Lisa was unable to get pregnant because she had her tubes tied, Kevin said, once again, he didn't know what that meant. Jesus. This guy's lived a sheltered life. Kevin's ex-wife, Lori Colwell, testified that she believed Lisa had been tricking Kevin into believing she was pregnant. She explained that Kevin lacked social skills and was very easily manipulated. Ah, that makes sense. There we go. He's a bit simple. Lisa Montgomery pled not guilty to kidnapping leading to murder. How? How can you plead not guilty to that? Her defense attorney, Fred Ducard, made the decision to pursue an insanity defense in an attempt to avoid the death penalty for his client. He argued that Lisa had suffered a lifetime of mental illness due to the relentless sexual abuse and beatings she had received as a child at the hands of her stepfather and mother. She had become dependent on alcohol from a young age in an attempt to relieve her pain. He also claimed his clients suffer from the delusional disorder pseudocyesis, a condition in which a woman's body mimics all the signs and symptoms of being pregnant, but she isn't actually carrying a fetus.
Like Bloody Mary.
Yeah. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, the Queen, one of the English queens, Mary Tudor, also later known as Bloody Mary, when actually she wasn't that bloody, but anyway, I digress. But she went through a period of having a phantom pregnancy, and obviously for a royal, an heir was kind of a big thing back then. But it all turned out to be a phantom pregnancy, unfortunately. And there's also theories that it might have been a tumour and might have killed her, but it's sketchy on that.
I love your history lessons.
We'll do dark history at some point, like Vlad the Impaler. Let's do one on him.
Renowned neuroscientists V.D. Ramachandran and William Logan MD supported the defence as expert witnesses during the trial. They confirmed claims that Lisa was delusional and likely did have pseudocyesis, as well as depression, borderline personality disorder and PTSD. The federal prosecutor, Roseanne Ketchmark, an expert witness for the prosecution, forensic psychiatrist Dr. Park Dietz, strongly disputed the defence's argument that Lisa had pseudocyesis. Ketchmark claimed the defense was trying to link the murder and kidnapping to pseudocyesis with some kind of voodoo science. Voodoo science?
That's voodoo science, that is.
It's not pseudoscience, it's voodoo science. Fucking hell. Ketchmark argued that although Lisa had suffered this terrible abuse in childhood, this did not take away from the fact that the murder of Bobbie Jo Stinnett was carefully planned by her and therefore was premeditated. Ketchmark speculated that Lisa kidnapped the baby because she was worried her ex-husband would use her fake pregnancy claims against her in their custody hearing. On October the 22nd, 2007, after just 5 hours of deliberation, the jury found Lisa guilty of kidnapping leading to death. 4 days later, they recommended that she be put to death. On April the 4th, 2008, the US District Judge Gary A. Fenner officially sentenced Lisa to death. Lisa Montgomery is now 51 years old, currently sits on death row at the Federal Medical Center at Carswell in Fort Worth. She's just one of 3 women scheduled for execution in the federal system. So that's harsh, but what you got to think here is you've got the baby and Zeb, Bobbie's husband, and what's happened with them? Once Lisa had confessed to that, the authorities took the baby to the hospital in Topeka, where she was reunited with her father. Zeb Stinnett named the baby Victoria Jo, referring to her as a miracle.
What? A miracle?
It's a miracle that the baby's still alive.
Yeah, of course. Sorry.
Christ, you uncaring bastard. After a short stay in the hospital, Zeb was allowed to take Victoria Jo home. Despite the trauma that she had experienced at the hands of Lisa Montgomery, she was doing extremely well. Her mum said that Bobbie Jo would have been a wonderful mother, but you can probably tell that of how she cared for the dogs and different things like that. Bobbie Jo was laid to rest at Hillcrest Cemetery in Skidmore. Despite the bitter cold weather, over 400 mourners attended the memorial service, which is more than lives in the entire town. They sobbed and embraced one another as they remembered the sweet, kind-hearted young woman who they used to see walking her dogs down the streets. Bobbie Jo will always be remembered and live on in her daughter, and Lisa Montgomery soon will be put to death. So, let's unpack that.
Jesus Christ, yeah. How old's Victoria?
She was born in 2004, so now she would be 16.
Imagine having to tell your daughter what happened.
I know, yeah, that's a lot for your daughter to go through.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm sure her dad was like the most devoted father ever to her. I mean, it's a fucking tragic case. You got to look at Lisa Montgomery from the side of she was abused as a child and, you know, she drank and she had like depression, PTSD and things like that, which turned her into a chronic liar, where people who have been abused or bullied do sometimes lie to escape into their own fantasy world where things are better. But you get to the point of her lies have caught up with her that much and she's scared of her children being taken away that she's had to go so far to prove to her ex-husband that she can give birth even though she can't. You know, in all of this, Bobbie Jo Stinnett was just an unfortunate person to be caught up in it all.
Yeah.
I mean, if Lisa Montgomery didn't have a rat terrier, she had like fucking Doberman or something.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have met it. There's a lot of
like weird things that sort of aligned, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's not as if she had a grudge against Bobbie Jo Stinnett. She was just pregnant and she needed a baby, and that's what I think's really disturbing about this case, is that she just went to her house, strangled it, and fucking used a knife and cut the baby out. Apparently, she'd been watching YouTube videos and stuff on cesarean sections to figure out how to do it. So she just took the baby out and drove off with it. And as a father, you know, anyone who's there, who is a parent, you can't imagine how horrible that is. But even if you're not, that is fucking disturbing.
Very. It's not right.
It isn't, no. And also, I'm not like trying to go on sympathy for Lisa Montgomery. You know, she had a troubled past, but that is fucking inexcusable. To take someone's life and then steal their child from inside, not kidnap him, steal their child from inside their womb.
Just to validate yourself.
Yeah, just to get one over on your ex-husband in a fucking trial for custody of your children, who you are neglecting as well as the neighbours knew. You're not looking after your kids that well. So, guys, what do you think? It's a fucking disturbing, weird one. But let us know what you think about it down below in the comments. Remember, you can always get in touch with us on all the social media platforms. They'll be coming on the screen now. And also on our email at enterthedarkpodcast@gmail.com. If you want any stories to go over, let us know. Email us, let us know, reach out to us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just let us know, guys, because we choose the stories now, but if there's anything you want us to cover, please let us know. We will. It saves us work of researching stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we still have to research it, but it's like going, oh yeah, we'll do this one. So thank you for joining us again. If this is your first time here and you did like this, please consider subscribing. Just hit that subscribe button. And also the notification button, because that does something apparently to algorithms and shit like that. Thank you for joining us. That one was just fucking harrowing. I don't know what to say about it. I've been Jan from FilmDaddy.com. He's been Les from Tales from the Hangman. And we shall see you soon. Take care.
Take care. Take care.